Hi, this video discusses how to write Chapter 1 IMRAD format, and this is already Part 4. I have separate videos for Parts 1, 2, and 3 on how to write Chapter 1. Part 1 is about how to write Chapter 1 with RRL and research objectives. Part 2 is about the continuation of that, which is the null hypothesis, and the scope and delimitation. Part 3 is about how to write the review of related literature, or RRL, and this is Part 4. This is going to discuss the continuation after the RRL, which is the theoretical framework, conceptual framework, the significance of the study, and the definition of terms, which is the last part of the Chapter 1, or the introduction, significance of the study. Right? So, let's discuss first the theoretical framework of your study, which is part of the introduction. Okay. So, in the theoretical framework, you have to present a theory, or kung walang mahanap na theory, pwedeng proposition or a study that connects your independent variable and dependent variable. But in your case, kung correlation lang ng dalawang variables, you can have variable 1 and variable 2, or variable A and variable B. References have no restrictions. So, pwede yung mga 1990s dito, walang restrictions on the year of publication. So, pwede yung 2000, early 2000 na taon. So, there should be at least 3 support theories or propositions that further connect the two variables. Pero sa inyo, kung wala talagang mahanap, kasi kung mas maraming time tayo to research on for the theories and propositions for your topic, pwede ito eh. Pero sa ngayon, we are running out of time. So, pwede na dalawa. At least meron kayong dalawang support theories or propositions that would further connect your variables. So, let's have an example. So, again, yung theoretical framework, it comes right after your RRL. Okay? So, isang enter lang yan. Isang enter, and then you have this. So, yung title na theoretical framework, capital yung T, capital yung F, naka-bold yan. And, of course, naka-indent ang first sentence or first line ng paragraph. So, this study is anchored on the propositions of Cohen et al. 2009. This is actually a study, a result of his study. Kaya propositions yan, hindi theory. Okay? And the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development 2013. So, nakasaad dito ang sources. Ito yung mga sources, mga studies, wherein your current study is anchored on. Ngayon, tinatawag nating anchor study. Okay? So, the latter states that the dispositions of the students towards learning mathematics are strongly influenced by the rules and practices at school, teacher-student relations, and expectations. That's OECD. Ito yan. Okay? 2013. So, ito, nakalagay ang source. Ito yung sinabi niya. Which are determinants of school climate? Kasi dito, dalawa ang sources. Kasi for this particular source, hindi naman niya explicitly sinabi na explicit, ibig sabihin, word for word na sinabi na connected talaga yung learning mathematics sa school climate. But implicit lang, implied. Wherein, these things right here, na sabi niya naka-apekto sa learning mathematics, ito sila, these are actually the determinants of school climate. Sabi dun sa study ni Zander 2012. Okay? So, furthermore, this proposition is taken as a framework of the study since it shows that the important role of school climate in developing the students' disposition necessary for learning mathematics. Okay. So, kung napansin niyo, isa lang muna, eto muna ang diniscuss ko. Okay? So, kasi ito yung main study or anchor study, or study na naka-anchor doon ang current study. Okay. So, mamaya naman, ito si Cohen et al., yung proposition ni Cohen et al., i-discuss dun sa second paragraph as a supporting proposition for the connection of the variable 1 and the variable 2. Okay. Pero ma'am, bakit nauna dito mention si Cohen et al.? Kasi 2009 yan, at saka yung isa 2013. Okay, so dapat in order. Okay, in support of the proposition above, it was stated that comprehensive school climate data can be used by schools not just to promote meaningful staff. Ito na pala yan. Meaningful staff, family, and student engagement, but also to develop both dispositions of the students and their social, emotional competencies, which contribute to the student's success both in life and in school. So, Cohen et al. 2009. So, this is now the second or the supporting proposition for the connection of the first variable and the second variable. Relatively, mathematical dispositions of high school students is hypothesized as a multidimensional construct composed of the following 7 aspects. Confidence, ayan, these are the indicators. Okay, so ang source niyan, in support, many different factors may influence mathematical dispositions of high school students. So, ayan mga sources. So, theoretical framework, of course, saan nakabase, sa anong theory or study nakabase yung current study ninyo. It's just like, paano mo naisip na i-conduct yung study na yan? Anong study ang nakapagbigay sa'yo ng idea, bakit mo i-conduct ang study na yan? So, that's the theoretical framework. Okay? So, this is another example of the theoretical framework. You can go ahead and pause this video and read through the example. So, this is another study. This is about, it's taken from Munria. Kalimutan ko yung year. It's about work attitude and organizational commitment. Okay? Ito yung karugtong niya. So, pwedeng i-pause and then basahin na lang. Next is the conceptual framework. So, right after your theoretical framework, theory yun, research results or other studies that provides evidence that there is a connection with your first variable and the second variable. That's theoretical framework. Ngayon naman, conceptual framework. So, ang conceptual framework, it is composed of 2 paragraphs. The first paragraph, 2 paragraphs and 1 figure. Okay, isang figure. The first paragraph should introduce the indicators of your IV or V1, independent variable, or sa atin tatawagin variable 1 kasi correlation lang tayo, with source, and define briefly the indicators with reference to figure 1. The defined indicators should be in italics. Take note of this. Yung mga indicators, every time you mention them, dapat naka-italicized sila. Yung second paragraph naman should introduce the indicators of your dependent variable or your second variable with source and define briefly the indicators kagaya ng ginawa sa first paragraph. And the defined indicator should also be in italics. Okay? So, yung variables natin, pwede natin tawagin variable 1 or variable A, okay, variable 2 or variable B. So, let's have an example. So, ito yung theoretical framework kanina. So, right after that, conceptual framework na. So, this study shall use the conceptual framework as illustrated in figure 1. So, this is very important. So, after ng page na ito, yung figure 1, which is something like a diagram, so, it follows right after this page. So, if this is page 19, ang figure 1, page 20. Matapos man ito o hindi itong paragraph na ito. So, look at this, yung word na end, ibig sabihin hindi natapos yan. So, yung continuation nito, if this is page 19, yung figure, page 20, tapos ang continuation ng paragraph na ito would be on page 21. Okay? Kasi isang buong page yung figure 1. So, the independent variable, or sa inyo, the first variable is school climate. Ayan, naka-italicized yan, ang variable, determined by 4 indicators. To wit, ibig sabihin ng to wit, namely, okay, colon, these are your indicators in italics. And your source here. Okay? Ito naman, i-define briefly ang mga indicators. Huwag nyo nang i-define yung variable, indicators lang. School safety refers to how safe students feel in classes, outside, around the school, and when traveling between home and school. And then, semicolon right after that. Then, another indicator to be defined. Peer social climate refers to the relationship of the students in the school. Then, colon. Support refers to the help and encouragement that students get from the teachers, school personnel, parents, and other students, colon. And finally, so make use of transitions here to let your readers know that this is the last indicator. Refers to how strongly students feel or know about the things that are expected from them by their parents, teachers, and school. Okay. So, yung mga definitions dito, wala nang source yan. Okay. Because those are operational definitions. Ibig sabihin, hindi natin ito nakuha directly sa dictionary. Okay. It is how we use or how it is used in your current study. So, the dependent variable is mathematical disposition, which is determined by the following 7 indicators, or the dependent variable or the second variable. Okay? So, the same lang ang process doon sa first variable. Naka-italics pa rin, definition of the indicators, and so on. Right? So, you can go ahead and pause this video and read through the second paragraph. So, after ng first, at saka, diba, first paragraph, second paragraph, and the figure. So, ano nga yung itsura ng figure? Figure 1, which is the conceptual framework of the study, should be in one page that follows immediately after it is mentioned. So, kung na-mention mo ang word na figure 1 sa page 16, so, the figure 1 itself should appear on page 17. Okay, isang buong page siya. The indicators are presented with bullets, and the one-headed arrow should point to the right if regression is used. Regression, test of influence, ganyan. And the boxes are labeled as IV and DV, or independent variable and dependent variable. However, sa atin, sa inyo, you are going to use two-headed arrow because we are using, the study is on correlation, using a correlational research design. And the boxes designated as the variable 1 or variable A and the variable B or variable 2. Example, ito yung nasa may test of influence, no? Yung gumagamit ng regression. So, independent variable, dependent variable. This is the box, okay, rectangular box, one arrow, one arrowhead, and then naka-bullets yung indicators. These are your variables, ayan. And yung nasa baba, meron talagang ganito. Figure 1, naka-italicized yung word na figure 1, then period, and then hindi na naka-italicized yan. Ganun pa rin, Arial 12, Conceptual Framework showing the variables of the study. Sa inyo, correlation, konting changes lang. Instead na independent variable, gawing variable A, or pwedeng variable 1, variable B, or variable 2. And then, you have here your variables. Naka-bullets pa rin yung indicators. And you have here a two-headed arrow. Meron pa rin pangalan, figure 1, conceptual framework showing the variables of the study. Okay? And this is one whole page. Next, we have the significance of the study. Significance of the study, it's because how important your study is. Anong contribution niya sa mundo? Okay, bakit mo ikakandak yan? Okay. So, the first paragraph presents the global importance of your study with reference or source. So, in paragraph form tayo for the significance of the study, ha? So, again, first paragraph presents the global importance of your study and, of course, with source. This will be followed by mentioning the beneficiaries of the study. So, in other words, it identifies in paragraph form the people or offices that can utilize the findings or that can use your findings of the study from macro to micro level. So, when we say macro, galing sa pinakamalaking office, pinakamalaking group, to micro level, yung pinakamaliit. So, ito yung example niyan. Okay? Last, yung future researchers. Right, so we have here DepEd officials, school heads, teachers, students, parents, community residents, if applicable, and finally, future researchers. So, ang macro level natin dito, of course, yung pinakamalaking office, or organization, or group, no, na pwedeng gumamit ng results ng study natin. When a study is about education in schools, so, DepEd officials talaga. Okay, DepEd officials, and then, we have the school heads, parang galing dun sa pinakamalaki hanggang sa pinakamaliit. So, school heads, you have the teachers, students, parents, and then community residents, kung applicable. And yung pinaka-last talaga, dapat merong future researchers. Okay? So, we have here an example. In paragraph form, ang significance of the study natin. So, we have, poor performance in mathematics in most nations around the globe has urged educators, parents, and politicians to seek solutions to this weakness in mathematics. Ferner and Berman, 2003. So, this is now the global importance, yung intro niya, na ito yung hinahanap na, naghahanap tayo ng solution. So, the world is seeking solutions to this weakness in mathematics. So, sabi niya, hence, this study on the relationship between school climate and students' mathematical dispositions may address this concern as this may be beneficial to the mathematics teachers, as it will provide understanding to the existing mathematical dispositions of the students. This may also give insights to the school heads to help them identify areas of the school where they need to work on to foster a positive school climate. Okay? So, yun yung global importance niya. As a final result, sabi dito, this study may benefit not just the teachers, but also the school administrators, the policy makers, and some government agencies such as the Department of Education, as it reveals information on the causal relationship of school climate and mathematical dispositions, which will contribute to improved practice in the field of education by providing a basis for improvements, physical and non-physical, to positively affect their school climate, which may consequently improve students' dispositions towards mathematics. So, dito naman, in one sentence lang, na-mention niya yung macro level. So, we have here the school administrators, policymakers, some government agencies, such as DepEd. Okay? And then, we have here, addressing the need for solutions to low scholastic achievement in mathematics. Likewise, this study may also be beneficial to other researchers. So, ito na yung future researchers. Dapat nasa last, panghuli. So, this study may also be beneficial to other researchers as it may provide them ideas for their future studies. Okay? So, the last part of the introduction, last part of Chapter 1 is the definition of terms. Okay? The definition of terms starts with an intro statement. Okay? Papakita ko sa inyo mamaya ang intro statement. And then, dito, you have to define all the key terms in your title. In your title, usually the variable starting with the first variable and the second variable. And the definition should be operational definition. So, ibig sabihin, how are the variables used in the study? So, in defining the variables, use the indicators, and then the definition should start this way. This refers to blah, blah, blah. Let's have an example. So, this is the title of the part, definition of terms. And then, naka-indent yung intro statement. Naka-justify pa rin yan. Okay? So, this should be justified. Ayan. So, this is on social media addiction and buying behavior of senior high school students. Sumampong 2019. So, yung naka-define lang, yung first variable at saka yung second variable. So, let's start with the intro statement. The operational definitions sa how, ibig sabihin operational, ibig sabihin how are the variables used in the study. So, when we say conceptual definition, parang ano siya, parang ano talaga ang definition niya sa dictionary, parang ganun, as a concept. So, in this part, operational definition. So, the intro statement, the operational definition of the following important terms are as follows. And then, naka-indent ulit yung first variable. And notice, naka-bold yan. And then, capitalize the first letter of each words. Ayan. And then, naka-italics. Italicized yung variable. And then, period sa last. So, this refers to a form of internet addiction where individuals exhibit a compulsion to use social media to excess. Next, indent ulit, buying behavior. This is the second variable, period. This refers to the process whereby individuals decide whether, what, when, where, how, and from whom to purchase goods and services. Pwede nyo ring i-define yung variable nyo in terms of the indicators. Kagaya ng mathematical disposition. Mathematical disposition, this refers to the flexibility, yung mga indicators niya. Flexibility, interest, and metacognition of the student. So, yun, using the indicators of the variable. So, pwede ring ganun. Okay? Now, here is another example or another sample for conceptual framework. Ito rin, sumampong 2019. Sumampong et al. 2019 pa rin ito. Okay, so this is conceptual framework, first paragraph. You can pause this video and you can read through the sample. And here is the second paragraph of their conceptual framework. Yung figure nila yung pinakita ko kanina. And then, here is another example for significance of the study. First paragraph. And then the second paragraph of the significance of the study.